to say because he's like free solo expert and Magnus has never done it, and he's like, oh my god, I'm like, if I fall, I'm dying.
Yeah, but that also proves a huge point in climbing. It's like you can be an amazing climber, super strong, climbing 8As all the way to 9As. But if you don't have that mindset, and you're jumping on a super easy climb and you're free soloing, but if you don't have that strong mindset like Alex Arnold, it doesn't matter how strong you are. Like, you're constantly fighting yourself, saying you're scared, or I can't do this. But technically, you can do it.
Yeah.
It's just a mindset. It's just a fear coming in. But fear is not logical. It's just a huge illogical thing that pops in when you're doing any sports. It's like, you can't do this, or I can't climb above this cliff. I can't get this cliff because I'm really scared. It's like, well, if you weren't on the ropes, you can probably climb 3 moves up and be completely fine if you're bouldering. But it's the whole mindset side.
I learned that from, I started rope soloing last year. Yeah. And I was like, right, I've done some rope solos, I didn't know how to do it. I'm going to do some trad rope solos. And the first trad rope solo I did, I drove down to Dartmoor. I was doing this climb that I've done loads. Like, I love going to Dartmoor to climb. And I went up, I got to the first bit, I put my bit of gear in, and I went a bit higher, and I was like, okay, like, this is alright, like, I'm fine. And like, Dartmoor, there's lots of cracks. Yeah. So I was trying to go for a hand jam, but I had a watch on. And I was like, I can't get my hand in enough to get this jam. And I was then, like, on the wall, and I'm like, trying to like take my watch off, just like putting it in my mouth, trying to rip it off. I'm like, I need this jam right now. I'm like way above the clip. I don't know if it's gonna hold. Like, I was absolutely bricking it, and like I got the watch, I've chucked it down, got onto the next ledge, and I was like, oh my god, I'm safe. Okay, there's nowhere to put gear here. I'm gonna keep climbing, and I was kept avoiding putting gear in because I was like, I don't want to be sat around now. And I get to the top, and it was like really easy climbing up to the top. And I'd had one bit of gear in on like this 20-metre route, which was like 2 metres up. And I was like, got to this point where it then just like goes back into an overhang and you have to mantle round at the very top of the climb. And I was like, I haven't got any gear in. Like, this is so scary. And I was like, I've done this route so many times and it was so safe doing it. And I just had that doubt in my head then, just being like, oh my god, like, I could die. Like, if I fall, I'm getting seriously hurt. And I was like, okay, just breathe. And I spent like a good 10 minutes up there trying to get myself round, because I was like, I don't want to down climb, but I want to get to the top. I just want to get over. And after I got to the top, I was like, wow, like, that was hard. I don't remember it being that hard. I set it up as a top rope, and then I did it easy, and I was like, why was I so scared? And that taught me, like, you just don't need to be scared. Like, especially like trad climbing, a lot of the time when you look at like people doing like E9s and everything, and it's like, what, they're trusting that little bit of gear in that, surely that's not safe. And it's like, they're not thinking of that as safety. That's part of the process. They're thinking like, the safety is me doing the climb and staying on the wall. And they're trying not to leave that up to chance.
That's it.
And how do you get past that moment where you freeze on the wall? I suppose we'll start with your answer, then yours.
Cool.
When you get the moment where you actually, it can happen with good climbers as well, where you have that moment where you, as you just said, like, you're there, free soloing, not rope soloing for the first time with the trad kit.
I mean, basically it was free soloing.
Where you just freeze and the fear hits. How would you get past that? Because a lot of people will just freeze and somebody needs to put them back down. Or they're like, right, you've got to down climb it. How would you get past it?
For me, this is a good question. It takes me back to the first time I free soloed, and this was before I started climbing. So I was in Edinburgh at Arthur's Seat, and my mate was like, oh, we're gonna hike round this long way, and I was like, oh, it looks fine to just go up this way, like a little bit of a scramble, but it's nothing. And I get halfway up and it just goes to like sheer vertical, like actual rock climbing, and there's like grassy patches, and I grabbed onto this grassy patch and it rips off, and then I was like, oh, that was a bit sketchy, and then I looked down and I was like, oh, this is dangerous, why did I do this? And I'd never climbed before, so it was just like a scary moment, and I was hanging onto the wall for like 20 minutes, just like, I don't know what to do, like, I've never climbed before, I'm in trainers, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? And I think I just started breathing, focusing on my breath, and then I was like, I just gotta keep climbing, and just that thought of I have to do it just made me do it. And I think that's just something that I've then taken on, because the when I got into climbing and I went to Canada, as I was telling you, to do some big walls. There's a whole story about my mate like ditching me in Canada and me being like homeless in Canada for 3 weeks. But it ended up me being belayed by strangers and then being pulled off the wall, so my gear came out.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm not trusting strangers belaying me, which is why I'm so sketched out about the Olympics. And then I was like, what can I do? I'm going to free solo. So I started doing some free solos. And it just, I think that the whole thing of just breathe and know that you have to do it just made me keep going. I know that's not really good for most people because they just don't want to be in that situation in the first place of freaking out. But yeah, just taking it back to my breath and being like, right, okay, deep breaths, calm yourself down, and then just focus on the task at hand. For me, that's what I would say. Is yours?
I would completely agree. Yeah, it is breathing. Because when you focus on the breathing, you're getting oxygen in, you're relaxing a bit more. It takes away the stress or so. So you really focus on, think about the breaths. Breathe in, breathe out nice and slow, recalibrate, then think logically. Because at the moment, it's just emotions.
Yeah.
So you have to think very logical. It's like, why am I scared? Think about the reason you're scared, and then think, okay, cool. What are the things that is going to help for me to succeed or help me get to the next level? So actually, I can do this climb. It's like, I know I can do this climb. The holes are good, the hand's good, I'm in a good position. Yeah, I'm freaking out, but I'm going to focus on my breathing, relax, then carry on. But it's breathing and thinking logically.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to say with any climber that I'm coaching, from beginner to all the way quite elite level stage, focus on the breathing. Because at the moment, you're just clouded with a lot of negative thoughts. I'm going to die, I'm going to fall off, I'm going to break my leg. It's like, oh man, you're going through a whole story. Keep it short. It's like, how many things are you scared of? Well, I'm scared of doing all these 10 things right now. But yeah, just keep it simple. Breathe and just relax. You know you're capable of doing something. You know you're capable enough because you already done something similar. Or let's say, like, well, he's done climbs like that before and did easier climbs like that before. So why was he scared? Oh, I was just having a mishap. That was it. Cool. Breathe.